I don't know about you. Are you still buying candles? We've stopped bothering to buy candles. It's too much now. First we stage 1, then stage 2, then stage 3, and then it stops, then it starts, then KUWTK goes out of action, and then I get these notifications. We're now on stage 3. I can't keep up. Then the app that I use, HCOM, so push, gets my area mixed up with another area, and then you got to just be strong. I'm just hoping to get my inverter. I'm getting an inverter delivered hopefully tomorrow. I've been waiting a long time for this inverter. Very excited. Hopefully it will work. If I'm getting an inverter, we're very slow adapters here at the Kalvari house. Very slow adapters. If we're getting an inverter, then gee whiz, then the inverters must be the biggest sellers ever. Ever. But it was a strange start to the year. I mean, Barbara Walters, Pele, and Pope Benedict, they all died within hardly 24 hours into 2023. I don't think any of them even sniffed 2023. And Barbara Walters, you've got to hand it to her. You know, her gritty determination and her talent. She broke that glass ceiling in her career of television news anchoring and interviewing, and she pioneered that television talk show called The View. She dies, and what happens? She's in the waiting room. She dies, and who's sitting with who? Who does she come across? Pele and Pope Benedict. How about that? I mean, that's quite something. So well done to Barbara Walters. She didn't go away. She didn't just die like, okay, my career's over. After she died, her career carried on. She had such a strong work ethic that even once she passed away, there, she's sitting in front of Pele and Pope Benedict. I wonder who she spoke to first. Could she have done no, I think one at a time. You can't do both of them at the same time. Have you been looking at the movies now? I've been wanting to watch this Steven Spielberg movie, the Fabelmans. People have been raving about the Fabelmans. It got a standing ovation or a palm de this or that, palm de all or palm de schlinter at some Canadian film thingy. Someone said that it's one of his best movies. So I thought, let me watch the Fabelmans. So I sat down with Bernice. We sat down watching the Fabelmans. I enjoyed it only because I knew it was a Steven Spielberg movie. The movie was about Steven Spielberg. And if you're going to be really honest, I can only appreciate the movie if I kept on reminding myself this is about Steven Spielberg's life. If you saw this movie and it had nothing to do with Steven Spielberg and the movie was standing on its own, you got to be honest, not just a mediocre movie. Okay, it was well acted. It was a pleasant movie. It was a nice movie. But it wasn't such a great movie. You see, I just thought the movie was a bit, what's the word? A bit self-indulgent. Thank you, Bernice. Steven Spielberg, he didn't add any, he stuck to his story. He stuck to his life. He didn't add anything. No artistic license to make it a bit more entertaining. So this film starts in 1952, so a mere 7 years after World War II. And dare I say, I thought the movie was a bit boring. Bernice lasted 41 minutes. She got up and she walked out. But to be honest, she complained right from the beginning, to be honest. So after 10 minutes, she started complaining. But then, 40 minutes, she left. She said, I'm gone. I stuck it out. I thought to myself, I'm going to watch this movie. But I watched this movie for one reason and one reason only. I watched this movie, The Fabelmans, so I can say, I've seen the Fabelman movie. Steven Spielberg could have added a bit of extra stuff for dramatization reasons. So that we meet an uncle, Uncle Boris. So Uncle Boris was his mother's brother. He could have been a Holocaust survivor. He could have arrived, come back. I was in the Holocaust. He could have given a bit of back when I was in Auschwitz. This is what happened to me, and got into, and then the smoke and.
Jesus, Tim.
He could have added more spice to the story. It was dead boring, and the main crux of the movie, the main plot was. Okay, spoiler alert. His parents' marriage wasn't so great, and there was a third party, kind of like Camilla Parker Bowles in the background. Character played by Seth Rogen. First of all, Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen. Very talented, But Seth Rogen, between you and me, a very Loch Schlepper role. Seth Rogen the role did not call for a Seth Rogen. Jonah Hill could have pulled it off as well. Anybody, in fact, I think he brought Seth Rogen in just to sell the movie. So fair enough. So Seth Rogen, he's acting, The role didn't call for any strong acting, I suppose. So the movie, I'm sorry, it's like, look, it's Steven Spielberg, right? And when someone is amazing and famous and they do something, even if it's mediocre, people think they want it to be good. So like somebody like Neil Young or Bruce Springsteen releases a new song. It could be a really mediocre song, but people say, "Oh, what a wonderful song." It's like the emperor's got no clothes, so nobody wants to tell the emperor, "Sorry, King Schmedrick, you're naked." No one wants to go up to Steven Spielberg and say to him, "Listen, Steve, you've had a great career. You've made amazing movies. Empire of the Sun, Schindler's List, E.T., the list goes on. Munich, the list goes on. But, this movie,
I have a theory.
Average. Bernice, you got to come closer. You got to come closer if you got a theory. What's a theory? Come lower down, theory.
That's what she said.
What's the theory?
My theory is that he wrote the script.
Who wrote the script?
Steven Spielberg wrote the script.
I assume so.
And that's why it was so poor. His direction's very good, his editing, all that kind of stuff. However, I think the fundamental problem with this movie is that it wasn't an interesting story.
Was not an interesting story.
And I don't think so it's not like someone brought him this wonderful script. He wanted to make a movie about his life. He also wasn't
self-indulgent.
He wasn't overly critical about his parents. So there wasn't really a kind of a rawness to it.
What I found funny is that apparently when his parents were alive, they actually nagged him for years, "Please do a movie about us." So they obviously weren't embarrassed.
Weren't you amazed at how boring his life was?
What a boring life.
So boring.
So boring.
I mean, you would think that someone so talented would have some kind of real angst in their past. All he was this dude who was interested in the movies.
And he carried a camera around with him all the time.
He carried a camera and he did it from the time he was 6.
What impressed me is the family support that he had. So he's in his late teens, and he made a lot of movies. But one of his later home movies that he made, literally 50 people showed up to watch this movie. I mean, how many people can say their family would support them and come watch their movie? How many people would do that? Would actually do that?
Well, if that happened in your family, there'd maybe be 8 people.
That's it.
But you would have only had 3 chairs in the lounge.
Exactly.
Where would they have sat?
They would have sat on the puff, on the ottoman, on a few cushions. That's it.
Couldn't your mother bring chairs in from somewhere?
I suppose she could have. So what Bernice is going at, I grew up, 6 children in the family. We only had 3 chairs in the lounge. Strange upbringing. So Steven Spielberg, I'm sitting watching the movie, and I know one of the themes is that they're a Jewish family. So I'm thinking, okay, the theme of anti-Semitism will come up. We had to wait literally for the movie almost to end for anti-Semitism to come up. Somebody left a bagel in his locker. I mean, really? A bagel. Somebody, there was some harsh words. He was bullied a little bit. But, you know, he could have dramatized it a bit. Anyway, it's a tricky thing. What I really wanted to go into is, can you imagine his manager, his family, his wife? They see the movie, the Fabelmans, very average movie. I'm sorry, call me arrogant, call me crazy. I'm sorry, it's an average movie, and I'm being kind, yeah. They haven't got the balls to tell Steven Spielberg, listen here, Steven, not such a great movie. I mean, if you think about your family and what has gone on over the years. I mean, it was covered in the one Meet the Parents with Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman and Ben Stiller, where average accomplishments are like blown out of proportion. Wow, you're amazing. And I mean, I'll give you like, for example, some people, like, for example, one of my sister-in-laws, she sang at her wedding. You know why she sang at her wedding? Because nobody told her, Tammy, you can't sing. You got a very, very, very average voice at very best. She sang at her wedding. What an awful song. You get onto a stage and sing when you actually can't. Nobody's told her you can't sing. So what happens? What happens? For her 50th birthday celebration, she does it again. She does it again. She sings again. That's what you got. You know, if you get nothing out of this particular episode, just a bit of advice. You know, you don't need to be harsh. If your child's doing something and they're not good at it, they're terrible, don't tell them they're terrible. The secret is you've got to be clever about it. Don't encourage it. Don't encourage it. If you can see they can't play tennis to save their life and there isn't a hope in hell, if they want to carry on playing tennis, let them. But don't push it. Don't encourage it. That's the way I see it. Speaking of bringing up children and all this kind of thing, one sister, so annoying. What did she do? She sent me. My one sister sent me this message. Okay. She sends me this message. This is so true, and it's a Facebook link. Let me just read it to you, give you an idea what it's all about. Something about some pediatric therapist saying that your child. Just hang on there. What kids don't need. So it's all about cell phones. Your child doesn't need cell phones. Unlimited access to social media. You don't you dare listen. So many toys. You can't have too many. Mustn't have television in their rooms. So all of this stuff. Now, what annoys me about it? All of this is probably 100% correct, but it's all in theory. You know, it's all very well. Better said than actually done. In reality, you have a child, you can't, in the real world, this has been idealistic. You try, in the year 2023, avoid television and TVs and buying toys and what have you. I challenge you. And bless my sister. Bless my sister. She's never brought up a child from in utero. With all due respect. People with their theories, thinking they know it all. Oh, sure, I tell you, what a childhood I had. I tell you, if I wanted to, I could write I think my life story, my childhood upbringing, if I had the time and the skills of writing, would be better than Steven Spielberg. I mean, think about it. 3 chairs in the lounge, 6 children. Left at the zoo when I was a couple of months old. The drama. Always the last to be fetched from school. Think about it. Yeah. We all have a story. Look, we all have a story, but it's a skill of actually real. Steven Spielberg. I know. Maybe I know I sound crazy. I had to think about this very carefully. Maybe I'm being deluded. Maybe I'm being like, this is Steven Spielberg. But I'm sorry, below average movie. There, I said it. Well, anyway, go look for it and tell me what you think. Okay.